Dear students, let's talk about the reaction of metals with dilute acids. In our previous classes, we have studied the reaction of metals with oxygen and that of water. So, here the metals that react with dilute acids can be categorized into two classes. First class is the more reactive metals. And the second class comprises of less reactive metals. Dear students, as you know from the word more reactive, it means that the class includes those metals which react with dilute acids easily, and this class of metals from its name will include those metals which are either less reactive with metals or they do not react with these acids. So dear students, here these metals they can react with dilute hydrochloric acid, that is HCl, sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and nitric acid, HNO3. So in the class of more reactive metals, here what happens, these metals they react with hydrochloric acid, they form metal chlorides. This is the salt, and here hydrogen gas is liberated, and here in this case the metals they react with sulfuric acid and they form metal sulfate, and this metal sulfate it is the salt plus hydrogen gas evolution. And dear students, here in this case when metals are treated with nitric acid they form metal nitrates, and this is the salt plus hydrogen gas. So dear students, from the reaction between metals and these acids, one thing is common, that the hydrogen gas is evolved in every reaction. Actually what happens in these reactions, the metals they actually displace hydrogen from the acids. So with the evolution of hydrogen gas, is observed in such reactions. So what is the reason that these metals they are able to displace hydrogen from these acids? Dear students, if we remind the reactivity series of metals, all those metals which lie above hydrogen in the reactivity series means that they are more reactive than hydrogen. So they can easily displace, they can easily kick out hydrogen from these acids and occupy the position of hydrogen. So this is the concept which is working when we treat these more reactive metals with these acids. So second thing that you must remind, dear students, is the first concept. And second, since metals they are electropositive in nature, they have low ionization energy and they form easily uh, metal cations. They lose electrons and form positively charged cations. Here these acids, they are protic acids. They give out H positive ions, and the electropositive metal, it replaces these ions, or simply it combines with, if it forms in case of hydrochloric acid, these metals they combine with Cl negative. In case of sulfuric acid, these metals they combine with SO4 negative. And in case of nitric acid, they combine with NO3 negative. Here chloride is formed, here sulfate is formed, here nitrate is formed. So metals behave in this reaction as per their electropositive character. The metal which loses electron easily means that that metal is highly reactive, and the metal which shows least electropositive nature is categorized in the less reactive metallic class. So dear students, let us see a few examples of the reaction of metals with the acids. So first, coming to sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium. Dear students, these are the alkali metals, and we have already learned in the previous reactions of metals with, say, for with oxygen and with water. There we saw that these two metals, they are highly reactive metals. They react with water violently, and the hydrogen gas evolved there catches fire. And they also react with oxygen violently. So these are highly reactive metals, and their reaction is usually vigorous. And similarly here in this case, the reaction of these two metals, for example, say suppose with HCl, I am taking one of the acid, and the reaction of these two metals with HCl is again violent. It is vigorous. And here what is formed, since we have discussed that metal chlorides are formed, so we can see sodium chloride is formed, or KCl, potassium chloride, is formed in case we are taking the metal potassium. And in both these cases, hydrogen gas is evolved. So these two metals, they are highly reactive metals. They violently react with uh, acids, and they form the salts plus hydrogen gas is evolved. Dear students, I may write here a series: order of reactivity, order of reactivity of metals towards dilute HCl and dilute H2SO4. So here I may write down the order of reactivity. Dear students, potassium is the most reactive metal towards dilute acids, followed by sodium. These two metals they react violently with HCl. Dear students, then comes calcium. The reaction between calcium and these dilute acids uh, is vigorous but less as compared to that of potassium and sodium. Then magnesium, it is again less vigorous as compared to calcium. Then aluminium. Aluminium reacts with dilute HCl or H2SO4 very slowly, and followed by zinc. Zinc also reacts with slowly. Then iron. Dear students, then comes the copper, then mercury, and then silver. Dear students, these three elements they belong this class less reactive metals, that is copper, Hg, and then silver. Dear students, these three metals they do not react with dilute acids or sulfuric acid. So these three metals do not react with dilute HCN or dilute H2SO4. So this is the order of reactivity. So dear students, you can write the chemical equation of any of these metals with dilute hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid or nitric acid. The reactions are very simple and easy. You have just to remind that hydrogen gas is evolved in every reaction, and if you take hydrochloric acid, chloride formation takes place. If you take sulfuric acid as the acid, then sulfate salt formation will take place, and simultaneously in case of nitric acid, nitrate salt formation will take place. So dear student, this in this class we have discussed the reaction of metals with dilute acids. I hope that you have got this concept well. Thanks.